Time for a quickie multi-topic news blast. So let's go ahead and get into it. So today in Congress, it seems that everybody's favorite Yeti Three Toes was presiding over Congress, decided to call in for, or make the call for decorum and everything. And let's just see how that went for poor Marjorie Trader Green when she asked for decorum in the U.S. House.
The members are reminded to abide by decorum of the House. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
Amazing. I'm curious as to how she went from that loud gavel bang to the muted ones afterwards, which sounded like she was banging the gavel on cork. To be honest, I would almost think this is a fake viral video that sort of like a WWE event where they pipe in crowd noise because maybe a match isn't going the way they creative or writing had hoped, and they essentially use the speakers to set the narrative because the audience isn't going along with their plan. That's what this sounds like, because if you watch it, it's like people at the time of the laughter that are in view almost don't seem to be reacting. It's what I'm seeing visually doesn't quite line up with the audio, but it is, of course, really hysterical that she calls in for decorum. She calls in for order when she literally sat there and called Joe Biden a liar in her fur coat Cruella de Vil look that she had months ago. And honestly, the still frames from that, she just looks like an absolute baboon. She looks like a howler monkey. And the laughter that she got calling for decorum after everything that she does, after she grills people based off of false information and just generally gets crapped on nearly daily in everything that she does, it is quite ironic to see her call for decorum and order, and her filling in for Kevin McCarthy in these situations just really goes to show I don't know what kind of backroom deals that she did when the Republicans were trying to set the speaker in the winter, and however 15 plus votes I think it was before they finally settled, and she was on Kevin McCarthy's side the whole time. It just Republican House of Congress is just a complete disaster. She's now divorcing. Boebert is now divorcing. Rumors swirl on both of these ladies and their divorces and everything. I mean, Marge is very out in the open as to who she's with now, but the timing is typical of what you would expect with Marjorie after the rumors of the gym rats that she had affairs with and the tantric sex guru and all that kind of stuff. And of course, Boebert is now rumored to be with the ramen noodle haired guitar pastor Sean Fox. He's threatening to hold everybody liable that says that, and I don't think it will happen because it's going to be the truth. So, yeah, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene's awful, really bad, mega negative day. Moving on from there, DeSantis and Elon were set to announce DeSantis's presidential run today, and it was going to be on Elon's Twitter space, and exactly as many launches from Elon have gone recently, it was apparently quite the failure. It did not work well at all, and the number 6 and number 8 trending comments on, or trending topics on Twitter right now, are basically failure to launch, disastrous, and everything. It's let's actually take yeah, so okay, not being logged in and being anonymous over here, it I don't get to show you the topics as if you're logged in and do explore. But basically, it's like the number 6 and number 8 topics are about DeSantis's failure to launch, and sorry Ron, and disastrous, and just not a good look. And as a lot of people are pointing out, the infighting going on within the Republican Party with a DeSantis versus Trump fight is something everybody is here for. I would say largely DeSantis is probably going to come out on the losing end of it, as people just view him as a mini-me Trump to Trump, just somebody who mimics Trump and tries to get by on being a little Trump, and his own personality when not being a mini Trump is coming through as being very cringy and awkward, including crazy laughter, wiping his nose very visibly, and then patting a guy on the back who I think was in a wheelchair. This is a guy that I did a video on many months ago of why he should not be under attack for the quote-unquote Top Gun campaign ad, where people were taking like, hey, this is almost stolen valor. He's making himself out to be a pilot. He's not. He was JAG. I thought that was a line of attack that people shouldn't go after. I found it to be weak and would just look worse on the people actually doing it than it would DeSantis. But everything he's been doing in Florida, the fights with Disney that I'm pretty sure Disney will continue to come out on top of, it's not going to work. And the only thing that may happen is it may split off some Trump voters enough to weaken Trump's position in the primaries. However, Floridians, while they support him as a governor, there's been a rather common Twitter sentiment and social media sentiment that people like him as a governor when they're in Florida and they're conservative. They don't want him to be president, and they're pointing out the loopholes that he's trying to do legally to run for president while also being the governor, and that's usually a no-no. Moving on from there, everybody is liking to point out that Target is afraid of a Bud Light situation, and they are in a bit of a tailspin at holding these, quote, emergency backroom meetings about certain clothing lines that are up in the Target stores and everything. Some, and this is over on NIPO, which is not exact. I mean, it may as well be the Inquirer of News at times, but some southern Target stores were forced by the corporation to move the LGBTQ pride merchandise away from the front of their locations after customer outrage to avoid a quote-unquote Bud Light situation. Many Target locations across the country feature massive June Pride Month displays on an annual basis, and the clothing line of tuck-friendly bathing suits for transgender people to mugs that say gender fluid. But the retail juggernaut has been criticized by some conservatives for the displays, with children's items particularly irking many customers. An insider told Fox News Digital that many locations in the rural South have relocated Pride sections to avoid the kind of backlash that Bud Light received. There were emergency calls. We were given 36 hours to take all of our Pride stuff, the entire section, move it to a section that's a third of its size. And these tuck-friendly, extra crotch coverage was being pushed to the back. I mean, the rainbow patterns underwear legitimately actually looks pretty cool, to be honest. Um, they're this is an outrage. They're terrified of another Bud Light situation. Target has been on the forefront of leading inclusivity things for many years, including the gender neutral bathrooms pretty early on. Um, it's really sad to see here. They seem to be clarifying what are the rural southern locations. It seems to be some in South Carolina, Arkansas, and Georgia, and thoroughly fit multiple body types. Yeah, this is it's it's sad to see, and I'm a person who right now is just got done doing a lot of new hire HR items at my job because I started a new job this week after my previous company is actually like completely closing up shop. I've closed down a division at a job before. Now I actually just closed down an entire job. And I'm at a new job this week and just was doing the typical new hire human resources stuff and the inclusivity surveys and videos, the anti-harassment videos, all that kind of stuff. And seeing it so spelled out in the workforce and how much jobs try to prevent this type of garbage going on, and then to step out into the real world and see the opposite happening. It's like, have you ever seen a movie during the day, like a matinee, and you go into the movie and it's light out, and you come out from the movie and it's light out, and you're sort of blinded and you forget where you are in the universe because you're so used to coming out of the movie at night. I mean, there's a reason why it's called prime time for movies, and they're more expensive than their matinees because people are usually seeing movies sometime between 7 and roughly midnight. On the whole, at least pre-pandemic, that's what it was. It would always sort of jolt me to come out of a movie and be squinting at the sun and be like, "Oh wow, yeah, the sun's out. That's weird." That's what it's like to get done with all of this for HR, to be a better coworker, to be an ally to people at your job, and then to come out and read stuff like this. It is awfully sad and depressing. And to the people who sit there and say, well, you could do all this, you could have this, that's great. I don't want my child seeing this and being exposed to it. Then just walk your child through the section and that's it. Just get them to where they need to be and do the shopping that you want. And if you're afraid of your child saying, what does that mean? Like, mommy, what does this mean? Tuck friendly and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Then you be a parent and you explain the situation to the best of your ability. Growing up as Gen X, I've seen so many things happen between the start of the internet, V chips going out there so that it would lock down channels, and I feel more and more these tools come up to make a parent less of an involved parent, to sort of give up their responsibility of parenting to have other things do it for them. And if you are afraid of the birds and bees talks, if you are afraid of the talk of explaining how people can be different, I'm sorry, no offense, I question your ability to be a parent if you can't sit there and explain to a 6 or 7-year-old who has this question, what does this mean? And you not be able to give an honest answer, or what does pride mean, or what does this rainbow mean? Why is this rainbow on clothing? And what is extra crotch? What is tuck friendly? It's sad that people can pressure a company to do something like this that is meant to help people, meant to let people feel normal and have inclusivity, and then to make a company bury it, especially in some locations. You know, I've had a lot of North Carolina friends, both known to myself directly or known through social media. Um, and they fight, the South fights this regressive, rednecky stereotype that has been tagged and tied to the South for decades and decades and decades. A lot of the new South fights it, and they say, we're not like that. We're not inbred, cousin marrying, backwoods, backwoods rednecks like we get portrayed to be. We're not dumb compared to the North or the Northeast or a New York City person or an LA person. We're not actually regressive. And then you see something like this. South Carolina is a little bit surprising. Arkansas isn't. Georgia, 50-50. I would expect like an Alabama or a Tennessee in there or something. But to see them fight the new, see the new South fight the old South stereotypes, and then see this is just frankly disappointing. I mean, why not strike a middle ground and create a section of the store that has clothing like this? And if you're a concerned parent and you don't want your children seeing that, you just don't take them there. If you wouldn't drive a child through an area of town that has strip clubs and possible high degrees of prostitution, streetwalkers, and you're not going to drive your kid through there, well, then don't take your kid through that section of Target and leave Target alone to run their business the way they see fit. It's just sad. Here, the Biden campaign, moving on back to a funnier topic and not get mired in something emotional and depressing like that. The Biden campaign has already come out with a response to DeSantis' failure to launch, and I gotta admit, somebody pulled the string on Dark Brandon, and the string has not been completely wound back into Biden's body yet. Between the last thing he did, where it was like, he put on the sunglasses and was like Dark Brandon out, to what he's been doing, attacking Trump's missteps for his own campaign, and now immediately jumping on a Ron DeSantis ad over here. You gotta admit, for a man that's being tagged as old and senile and perhaps not always all the way there, his campaign is doing a marvelous job at churning out some pretty good social media. So we will close this quickie news flash with the Biden's DeSantis response over here, and this is admittedly kind of funny.
That was something that we were very proud to do.
So I would embrace proposals, like Paul Ryan offered.
I'm not a candidate.
Honestly, if with my public relations background, I would have had that feedback sound is annoying, but I would have drawn out that feedback sound maybe 5 to 8 seconds longer and had the pictures of him wiping the snot on somebody, the pudding fingers admission where he says he likes to eat pudding with his fingers. I think they could have had a field day with this a little bit longer, and if they had that feedback sound go for maybe 5 to 10 seconds longer and sort of fade out and end on more embarrassing moments for DeSantis, I think it would have been really, really punchy. I mean, as good as it is, I think it could have been punchier, and I think Dark Brandon could have put on about 6 different sunglasses for this one. So, this is the Political Napalm signing off. Hope you enjoyed the video.